Hi everyone, welcome to a new knitting podcast episode, Romanian knitter in Norway. And this is my, I think, third episode for this year. My name is Maria. If this is your first time being here, if not, welcome back. And I am a Romanian knitter who lives and knit in Norway. And I might film this in the wrong day or moment. It is very sunny outside, which is good, but I feel I have so much light in here. Also, I am so warm, and I had the door at my balcony open, but don't know who, somebody in the neighborhood is running for more than 2 hours with a motorcycle, and it's very noisy. Okay, let's start. In today's episode, I will talk about one finished project, and if this won't be too long, I will talk about the main project I have now on my needles, but also I have 3 new cast-ons. Actually, I have 4, but one of them, it's something that I unraveled and used the yarn for a different project. Okay, the elephant in the room, it is the cardigan I am wearing. My friends, I finished a 2 weeks marathon of making this cardigan, and it was such an easy project until it wasn't. Okay, let's do this. So this is the Periwinkle cardigan. It is a design by Martin Storey for Rowan magazine number 77. It is a bottom-up construction. It is a knit by piece that you in the end need to sew together. It features this very easy, I think 9 rows of a chart, a little bit more on this part toward the shoulder. There are like 3 extra motifs, but they are just like 3 rows motif, and it's a triangle, so it's nothing complicated. A part of this motif, I don't know what's the name of it, but it's 3 stitches in the main color and 1 stitch in the contrasting, and then you have 2 rows in the main color, and then you switch, and again you have 3 in the main color, 1 in the contrasting color, but the place, it's different where you work the contrasting color stitch. I think I've done a disaster about this explanation. I apologize. Anyway, let's start with the yarn. Of course, I didn't use the yarn recommended, which is, I think, Rowan soft yak or something. I never saw this yarn in person. I never worked with it, of course, and I don't think I could afford it. So instead, I went with Rauma Finul, the Norwegian wool, and I got 8 balls, no, 9 in the main color, and 2 balls in the contrasting color. In the end, I actually used from the main color just, I think, 5.5, and of course 1 and maybe not even half of the contrasting color. So I would say this was a budget-friendly project comparing with the original yarn that I was supposed to use. Even with the extra yarn that I got, this project in total cost me around 50 euro. But as I've said, I have a lot of leftover. So if I would have been smart and do the math again, because my yarn had more meterage than the original, probably this would end up costing like maybe 30 and something euro. So I would say it's very, very affordable comparing to other options. Okay, I said that it is a bottom-up construction. I've done modifications in terms of bottom bands and neckline and cuffs and hem. I want to mention that I do like the look of the original cardigan. I love how the 2x2 ribbing details are just pairing this cardigan so nice. It's so complementary. It's wonderful. But I am wearing my knits so much, only my needs. So I knew that on long, how do you say, on long term, I would have had to redo all these details because I'm sure it will grow with wearing these bottom bands and the neckline. So I did not want that. But I have to say that if I need to choose in terms of end result and what look I like most, I like the original one. But as I said, I need to be practical and I need to have the best result as possible in terms of how it will wear and how it will hold. So this was the main priority. So this was the modification I've made. As I've said, the beginning of the pattern and even up to underarm, it's nothing complicated, even for the sleeves. So you start to work first the back, and then you work the front separately as pieces, and then you work the sleeves separately as pieces, and then you need to assemble together all the pieces. My problem started the moment I needed to shape the underarm and all this side of the cardigan. I've made size 6 in the pattern, which should give exactly my circumference. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was like 104 centimeters or 106 centimeters. As a disclaimer, I did not gauge swatch. However, I end up with the exactly gauge as in the pattern. Don't ask me how is this possible. I didn't even use the needles, the recommended needles. I've used 3.5, but I got the same gauge, which is wonderful. In the end, as I've said in the pattern, for some of the sizes, I think in total there are like 8 sizes, and I've made size 5, no 6. And this thing was available for my size. I should have done some increases after working this first chart, because the cardigan it's getting wider toward the armpit. But I knew I did not want that because my body, it's not for that type of construction. And I kept the numbers from the cast on. And I realized when starting to work the decreases that I will have a different number of stitches and of course a different number of rows for the yoke. Anyway, I just took a break from it and I figured out what I should do. And it was okay. And I just took notes what I have done different from what the pattern said, considering my number of stitches. And I applied this also for the fronts and even a bit for the sleeves. The hardest part for this cardigan was the sewing. It was the hardest part, especially at this part. Because if you see the pictures with the cardigan, this here, it's perfectly aligned. And I wanted, of course, the same result. Did I get the same result? No, definitely no. So this was the hardest part, especially at the shoulder when sewing the sleeve. As you can see, I have these puffy shoulders that for the life of me, if I knew how to avoid this, you don't want to know how thick is my sewing on the back. Because what I have done is with the thread that was from the sleeve, when I finished the sleeve, I pull the thread through the stitches and pull the stitches and gather the stitches. I had like 20 and something stitches. And this way I end up with this puff here, but it was not that enormous as it was the first time I tried to sew the sleeve to the rest of the cardigan and not pulling those stitches together. I think if I should do this again, which I'm not, one time was enough, I think I would at least make knit two together on the last row. So I will reduce half of the stitches, which will avoid this thing here. Well, this bothers me not enough to not wear this. I mean, I like it. I like it and I'm okay with it. But it was very frustrating and I tried to sew this so many times. I had to go back. And after I done the last try to put this part together, I realized that I should have unravel a bit the sleeve and make those decreases. But I did not want to go back again because my stitches were traumatized. I mean, I don't know how much this part could have resist to the pulling again and again and again of the yarn because the sewing was wrong. So just because of that, I accepted that I will have two puffy shoulders. And this yarn, it is a loose spun yarn. So with the friction, it becomes like an unspun or rowing yarn, you know, and it breaks very easy. So yeah, because of that, I did not went back to do this modification. And I'm quite upset on myself because I was so desperate to make this project that just couldn't have, I didn't have space in my brain just to stop and rethink that part that was not going well for me. Because if you see the pictures with the model wearing the cardigan, there is not such thing at the shoulders, but I have them. So, taking consideration that if the sewing does not work from the first time for you, if you decide to make this, then reduce the stitches. Because it will be much easier to sew and align this part here. But as I've said, I don't mind, really I don't mind. I've made the body longer than in the pattern, so it is very cropped if you follow the instructions. Unless you need it like this cropped, you can of course add length. And also at the sleeves I added length because the sleeves, if you see the pictures, they are looking more like a 3/4 sleeves, not a long normal length sleeve. So that's another modification. Now, looking back, I wish I could have shortened the body with 2-3 centimeters and add actually these 2-3 centimeters at the hem. I will stand up so you can, I hope you can see the length. So I wish my hem would have been here, but now I don't have the problem I had when I washed this. So when I washed this and had it on the floor to dry, it was this hem that was, it didn't sit flat. So I was worried that my hem, it is too short for this cardigan. But once it dried, it didn't curl in any way. So that's good. Also, I've done double knitted hem. Yes. Also the cuffs. Well, the cuffs. It's 1 centimeter cuff. It's not much. When I saw this cardigan, I thought it will be perfect for this dress, which I find somehow or sometimes hard to pair it with most of my knits. But now I'm wondering if this is also wrong, because the dress have these vertical, very thin stripes, and the cardigan has this, how do you say, not pickles, what is the word? I think you understand what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if they go together so well as I thought initially. But we shall see. I've made this in 2 weeks, which is absolutely crazy, even for me. But I have to say that it has been a very long time since I felt this joy of making a project. I always enjoy knitting, no matter what. Even if things are not ending like I thought it will, even if on the way I am regretting my size choice or my color choice. I still enjoy knitting, but I don't feel that knitting joy with every project. That energy and feeling that you want to make another row and another row and another section, and you want to reach another point. You want to see the garment growing and growing because you like it that much. So these were my feelings with this project, and I think that's why I almost abandoned anything else I had on my needles to work at this cardigan. Of course, there were days when I was feeling like I had enough, but still keep going because I don't know, I felt this desperate need to make this, to see it in person. Um, so yeah, because of that, I've made a cardigan in 2 weeks. Of course, it's not a full length cardigan. I mean, yeah, I guess if, yeah, a length one, normally it will, a longer one, it will take more time to make it, right? Overall, I'm very happy with the project. I have to say that this is my first time working a pattern from a Rowan magazine, and it was, I don't know if difficult, but it was different. Definitely, it was different. The explanations, uh, even some words. I mean, I was not used with the way was explained and some terms of knitting. So that was very new to me and sometimes difficult. Sometimes I had to take a step back and read again and read again and read again, especially on increases, because it was like, I don't know, increase one at each end on the eighth and any other alternative row. I mean, now it sounds silly, but it was, yeah, it was different. It was different, but I'm glad. I'm glad I managed to do this. So I'm talking about this because this was again another proof that if needed, that I'm not that, I wouldn't say expert because I'm not. I'm not that advanced as I thought I am, actually. I mean, when you have a little bit of trouble of understanding what you are reading and what you need to do, I think, yeah, that is not such an expert level, right? Well, at least this is how it felt for me. But I'm very, very happy with this project. I'm happy to have this cardigan. I love the buttons. The buttons are metal ones. I've made 7 buttonholes, and I have, of course, 7 buttons, and I like it. And I think the fit, it is just what I wanted. I will close this just for you to see that it's really, really fitting very well. And even sitting, it's not, you don't see the opening in between the buttons. Of course, I buttoned up this totally wrong. Yeah, something like this. For the bottom bands, I cast on 16 stitches. Was quite a lot. For the hem, I didn't increase, but I've used the same number of needles, which was 3.5. Now, looking back, it would have been nice to increase at least maybe 10, 12 stitches. This would have helped me not stressing, because part of the fact that the bottom band when wet was curling was because there were, I think they needed, the bottom band needed a little bit more stitches. But of course I stretched this to reach the width of this first colorwork motif. In terms of how do you say this level of difficulty, the charts were very easy to follow, but being a flat two colors project, you can imagine on the, I mean, you have as much wrong side rows as the right side rows. So it means you need to work a lot of rows in the pearl side and with two colors. But it was not complicated. I mean, I have a project that is more time consuming, and it's also flat and also two colors, so it's more time consuming than this one. I am happy I did this cardigan. I am happy I started to look more at Rowan, and I will try to find more patterns that are not that popular, that are not that I don't know, a must-have for everybody in the knitting community to knit it. I think this is a very special one. I think it's nice. I think it's versatile. I think it's not the hardest compared to other colorwork projects. I wouldn't say it's a beginner friendly because of this knitting flat into colors and some other details in the pattern, but it's not that hard as others. So yeah, I don't think I have more to say about it. Just that I really, really enjoy making this cardigan, but I enjoy it mostly because, as I've said, I was desperate to see this beauty that it is now in my wardrobe, and anytime I want and feel, I can wear it. Especially now that the spring, it's almost here. I don't know how it will be this spring here in Norway, if it will be as usually colder or this year will be something different. I don't know. Outside, the nature is feeling like in the spring. The birds are more and more active, and you can hear them singing every morning, which is not happening in the winter. And now that the sun is up, it's just, yeah, it feels like spring, although actually today it's the last day of February, so it's February 28th, so officially somehow still winter here. Yeah, happy with my project, happy with the result, happy with all the process, even on those parts that really gave me a headache. Okay, I will talk about next about what I have on my needles that is getting the most attention. And if you have been here before, you might remember that in the last autumn, I started another knitting pattern sweater also by Martin Storey, and this knitting pattern, it can be purchased as an individual pattern on his website. And the name of the sweater, it is the Aberdeen Argyll sweater, and as you can see, it's an 8 by piece again. Not the easiest, to be honest. I've changed the hem, and I changed the colors, of course. So in the pattern, the hem is supposed to be in fair isle. It has a motif and different colors than the rest of the sweater. So instead of doing that, I've done just a regular 1 by 1 ribbing with a tubular bind off, because I feel like the sweater, it is already too much, especially with the colors I choose to work with. Don't ask me why this was my choice, because I cannot explain this. This is what I felt at the moment that I started this sweater. Now I feel it's a little bit too loudy, but I think it's in the end it will be beautiful, and I think it will be so nice to have these rich colors in the autumn and late autumn, no, or when everything turns brown and lifeless. So this screams life for me. So this is the modification I've made. Now for the hem, it is recommended to be worked with using the fair isle method. For the body, it is recommended, I think, in tarsia. But I choose to work also in fair isle method because there are only two colors, always two colors in a row. So I thought I can do this, and I do it. It's not the fastest project because the way I'm working this, I am always changing on the back, and it's a bit it takes a little bit more of time because I always need to check on the front if I'm doing right, but I think in the end it will be worth it. So I've done this. I think I finished this until Christmas last year, and then I took a very long break because it felt too much. And this week I decided that it's time for me to start. This is the back. I thought it's time to start the front because it will take a bit of time, and I will show you my progress on the front. I am a bit more halfway through the front, and this is the front. And yeah, as I've said, I have like probably, so this is a 55 rows chart motif. So for the back up to underarm, I worked the chart fully, and then from row 1 to row 24. So I am like 12 rows of finishing the full chart, and then I need to start again rows 124, and then I will finally start to work the arms, the shape of the armholes. Do you say? I have a lack of words in English in my mind now. Yeah, so it's nice to be back, and I actually made this last week. Every morning I'm knitting at this. Every morning I have like 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours of knitting until I go to work, because I wake up very, very early. So, and this is the time of the day that I have the most progress, because in the evenings I'm also trying to knit, but because I'm tired, I'm very, very slow, and usually I'm listening a podcast and doing some rows. So yeah, mornings for me are, and weekends are the most productive knitting moments. So yeah, I'm hoping to have this finished by the end of the next week, hoping. And once I finish the front, I want to sew the front with the back and to make the neckline. And then one lesson I've learned from this cardigan, at least when you do color work by pieces, when doing the arms, I learned that I need to wait to finish both sleeves, not arms, sleeves, before sewing. Because, for example, I finished for this one sleeve, I sewn the sleeve, and then it took me like 2-3 days to finish the second sleeve. And by the time I needed to sew the second one, it didn't work like the first one. So I didn't remember exactly what I have done with the first one and why one shoulder is looking different than the other. So lesson learned. So yeah, I'm planning to sew these two parts together to make the neckline, to wave all the ends, which are a lot, let me tell you, and then to start the sleeves. Now I will do another modification from the pictures of the pattern. I feel like the neckline sits too high, so I'm planning to lower the neckline like at least 2 centimeters, but I will cross the bridge when I will reach it, because yeah, it's not worthing the stress now for something that I don't know how I will change for the moment. So yeah, this is my most active project. I'm using the recommended needles, but not the recommended yarn, of course, but the recommended yarn, it is Rowan Tweed. And Rowan Tweed and this Rauma Finule, they have the same meterage, grams, and I think the same gauge as yarn. So I feel I'm safe with this. And by the way, I'm doing size 1. And I hope I choose right, because initially I started with size 2 and I started to make the color work and I kept measure, and I felt it was too wide, and then I ripped back and started with size 1. And of course, I'm trying to knit loosely because it's back and forth into colors. So I won't have the same gauge. We shall see. At the end, I will measure, but I'm trying to have this relaxed. So I'm hoping it will block very, very nice. I want you to know that I decided to not catch the floats with this pattern, because the most stitches I have on a row in between colors are 7. And with my first try, I was trying to catch the floats, and then I said, you know what, it's not worthing. So I don't do this. But I make sure to have them relaxed, not too much, but enough when I will wash this and block this, to have a, how do you say, a nice fabric in the end. That's why it takes a little bit of time. But yeah, now that I am reaching almost the end of the first chart repeat, I am excited because then it will feel a little bit more easy because you will work the fronts and the shoulders separately, so there are less stitches and you keep decreasing. And yeah, I hope once I reach that part to flew from my needles. So yeah, this is the project that has my most needing time these days because yeah, I want to finish it. I have, as I said, a lot of ends to wave in. If you are hearing voices, I share the house with the owner of the house. We live in an apartment in this house, and he lives in the rest of the house. And one of his daughters came to visit because it was like holidays for children here in Norway, 1 week, and she has 3 children, and whenever they go out, the dog is getting yeah, excited and loudy. Okay, I am in full color work mode. Yes. But first, I want to show you the project that I read back and what I have started actually with it. Now, I don't remember the name of the next 3 projects. I will talk about it because they are all new for me, but I will put pictures on the screen and the name of the pattern and of course the name of the designer. So here it is. I don't remember when I showed you this, but I think I have 2 needle threads here in my chair. I was planning and I was quite advanced, almost finishing the body up to underarm because it was bottom up, to make again the cardigan cardigan by Andrea Mori. And I wanted to make it long and forget about it. I unraveled. I didn't feel the project in the end. I love that cardigan, but I didn't want a long cardigan in a thick yarn again. My problem at this point is that I'm done with thick yarns. I'm done with yarns for the moment that needs to be worked with more than 4mm needles. I mean, even with 4mm, I'm trying to be very selective because last year I have been knitting a lot of heavy garments. And from that experience, I know that heavy garments are not the first thing I reached in my closet. And that's a huge problem. So I'm using the last thick yarn quantity I have in my stash to try to do something. And I have this Yellholz Ullspinneri triple. It's a Danish brand. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful yarn. It is similar to Peer Gynt, but like 10 stars more than Peer Gynt. I'm sorry, Sandnes Garn, but me and Peer Gynt, we are not best friends. There is something that I don't like about Peer Gynt, but I cannot explain what I don't like about it. It's not the rustic feeling. I have no problem. I dress even more rustic garments than Peer Gynt can give me. I don't like that yarn. I don't like the definition of it. There is something. Anyway, it's not important. This it is absolutely wonderful to knit with. Now, there is a new vest pattern by Thea Coleman. I'm so glad I came back to her because I really think she is a very good designer. Maybe for some people her patterns don't look that, I don't know, must have, to not say a different word, but I think that we as knitters can give any we can change the look of a pattern, but to keep the essence of the pattern, you know what I mean? So she came out with a new pattern vest, which I adore. I would love to make it in just one color, because in the original pattern, the main vest, again, we are barking loudly. The vest is made, the body of the vest is made in a main color, but all the details like hem and bottom bands and armholes are made in a different color. I think I should stop the video because my dog is keep barking at my neighbors. Toto! Toto! Hai vino încoace, puiule! Bubuțu! They are in the hallway and he's Toto! Okay, I hope I put on the screen the name of the pattern, and it's so beautiful. It features like a cable honeycomb with, of course, knits and pearls, and it's so easy to make. I'm sorry that I'm not in the middle of the row, but I am at almost the end of the row. Now, my plan with this is to make actually a cardigan. And my choice is just because I don't want leftovers, and I will be left, I think with almost 300 grams, which I don't want. I don't want to start another project for those 300 grams. So what I am doing is I have like 10 centimeters more for the body up to underarm. Then I will follow the instructions for the decreases, and it's a little bit like a V. And I will make the bottom bands, and with the yarn that I have left over, I will make the sleeves, and I will start the sleeves in the round from top down, of course. I will figure out. I'm not worried I won't figure out the numbers and things like that, because it's very easy with this stitch pattern. And I will make it with long sleeves. But I will love to make this again as a vest. I even thought that with Jensen from Isayer, I would love to make this vest in a different color, of course. But yeah, this is so wonderful to work, such an easy stitch. And once again, I like the path that Thea Coleman follows with a lot of her patterns. You know that I always complain about the hem, about the 1x1 ribbing, about the 2x2, and how they are growing, and how I always try to do the double knitted version when it's possible. But I like that she is not choosing 1x1 ribbing. She is not choosing 2x2 ribbing. She is choosing a mix of both in the same hem. And it's the case here. And plus the way she teach you to, or explain you to cast on the stitches, you end up with a ribbing look hem, but one that does not stretch to be ruined. And it's not the first time I'm doing this. With another project of her, I've done the same because, well, it was not quite it was not identical, but it was also a mix of 1 by 1 ribbing and 2 by 2 ribbing, and I've done the same cast on, and I want you to know that it holds up perfectly. It looks like just I finish that hem now, so no change. So yeah, that's great. I love her knitting brain. I wish I wish I could be friend with her knitting brain and the way she grades the pattern, and yeah, she is something big. Yeah, so I'm using 4.5. I'm doing size 1. I know it's not looking like my size, but this will block and it will open. And of course, if needed, I will do again wide double knitted bottom band. So I usually, if I feel I need 1 2 extra centimeters, I do wide bottom bands, and this will help. Yeah, so I'm quite concentrated on doing this. As I said, I only have like 10 centimeters, and so far I've used here like almost 1.5 balls, so almost 150 centimeters, and I still have not centimeters, grams, and I still have the same here. Yeah, I enjoy this project. I enjoy this project very, very much. It is almost mindless. I mean, part of the row where you need to cable to create this honeycomb, then the next 5 rows are just knits and purls, and not even this is hard because there are groups of 5 and 5, 5 and 5, 5 and 5. So it's very easy to do. I cannot wait to have this as a cardigan, but for sure I want to make the vest version. And now I will measure when reaching the shaping, because in the pictures I see that it reaches here, so I want more set in this part, but I shall see. I will see. I'm sure I can do. It won't be hard to decrease more stitches. Yeah. So that's this is for the moment like a mindless project for me. Okay, I will talk about the next 2 projects that I have on my needles that are not that advanced, but I'm talking about them. Usually, you know that I've said that I won't talk about many projects in this in a knitting podcast episode anymore, but these are new. So just in case next time I have a finished object, you know that I talked a little bit about it before. Now, I've started a vest, of course, in more colors. The next 2 projects, this one and another one, they are made with yarn I have in my stash. Now, I've told you that from this project, I was left with 3 full ball of yarns plus what I've used from the 4th one. Now, I did not want to make something in this gray because I already have this project and another one that I will finish. I will talk in the next episode. And this one, it's not the same. This is a beige, but it's quite close, you know. So I went to my local yarn store where I purchased the yarn for this cardigan, and I asked if I can exchange those balls with a different color, and I end up buying this dark gray. I have to say that with this dark gray, I just remember how much I love darker gray. I do love it, and I have to make a sweater in this gray, not this one. Um, I saw a few months ago when I got some knitting for Olive, I saw in the stores a gray from knitting for Olive that was amazing. Actually, when I choose the yarn to make my husband a hat, a Musselboro, and I choose that gray, but it didn't had enough mohair that will pair perfectly, and I didn't want a different one because I love that shade of gray. So I might at some point going back to the store that is carrying knitting for Olive to search again for that gray because I still thinking about it. Okay, so I got these three balls I exchanged. Now there is a Norwegian designer, Lily. I will put it on the screen because shame of me, I didn't memorize the name. And she has beautiful patterns. I do recommend you to check out. But I choose to make a vest. She designed the pattern in a yarn from Hillesvåg that is called Solje, and it's quite similar to Reuma in terms of length and needles and things like that. And I said, okay, this will be a project where I will use what I have in my stash. So the gray, it is the Reuma Finul. This one, it's a old, this is a leftover Filcolana pernila. This is a leftover reuma from first I've done a cardigan and then I unraveled and I have an English sweater in this color. So I have a leftover that I will put it here. I have more pernilla and I have like this is Ask from Hillesvåg that I've used for a cardigan that I self-drafted myself in the summer, and I'm using this from the sweater I'm making from Martin Storey, the Argyll sweater. So yeah, just stash busting, which it feels wonderful. Plus, I do like the look of the vest. I like the shape of the vest. First of all, I like how it looks here. It does not have this drop shoulder vest or loose or things like that. Boxy, yeah. So I do like this. So I have done a modification already. I've done double knitted hem. I like the look of the pattern with that 10 centimeters long 2x2 ribbing, but again, me and 2x2 ribbing, we are not that good friends. So yeah, also I don't know if I love how it looked the vest on her body, but my body is not the same, and I could have changed to 1x1 ribbing, but still, yeah, I will do this modification. And who knows, in the future I might use this pattern again. I'm not using the original colors, I'm using the colors that I have in my stash. I didn't want to buy any yarn for this project, and I love it. I love it so far. It's addictive, it's so nice. The not that nice part is that there are so many waves to wave in, but as you can see, I'm doing a pretty good job and waving as I go because it's the best way to do it. And even I went further and didn't cut two of the colors, even three, because I will need to work with them three rows up. And I thought, you know what, I will just carry them, although it's not nice to work with five ball of yarns in the same project, but this will save me at least 2 ends for each of the colors. I mean, 10 ends. It's a lot, you know. And because you are changing the colors only, of course, at the beginning of the row, which is actually one of the sides of the vest. I don't want this side of the vest to become very bulky comparing with the other one where there is no end. Yes, so I'm quite excited and I'm entering my vest era. If you have been here before, you might remember that I've said so many times that I want to work more vest, where I've started. And I want to make especially more colorwork vest. I love them. I love them. Yeah, and we are keeping things in the vest area because I've started another project from this time sorry for the pronunciation, Rowan magazine number 78. The name of the magazine is Emerge of this edition, and I am working this vest. But I am working this differently. I will show you. Okay, so I will show you this picture. So this is the vest. Now, this is a colorwork vest, but on the front side, the stitches on that are made with the contrasting color are pearl stitches on the right side. What I've decided to do is to make the whole vest in stockinette stitch. So I'm using the chart, but I'm not. I'm doing the reverse. I'm doing knit stitches on the front side and pearl stitches on the back side. You know, because I think I want more for the moment, this part. So this vest is sandwood. No, sandwood? Just a second. I don't want to... No, it's Carolina. The name of the pattern is Carolina. It is by the designer Georgia Farrell. I hope I'm pronouncing the name correctly. And the recommended yarn, it is alpaca soft decay. I didn't check this yarn to see the meterage for 50 grams and things like that. The needles recommended are 4mm. Now, if I would have used the same yarn, I would have been in between sizes because the actual chest measurement of the garment, it says for the size 2, it's 102.5 centimeters. For the next size is 113, and I am in between. And because I don't use the same number of needles, I went and see how many stitches I need to cast on, and I choose the size according to the number of stitches. This is how I do. And I decided to go with size 2. My yarn, it's different. I'm using again yarn from my stash. Now this is Hillesvåg Ask, and it's left over from the garter stitch sweater that I've made, and I talk about it. And I had a bit more than 100 grams. I'm not sure my yarn will be enough, but luckily this Hillesvåg yarn, just like Isayer, you can buy just 50 grams. You don't need to buy 100 grams. So I think this will help me in case I need more. So this is the main color, and the contrasting color, it is the hold on a second, because I have here, it is Isayer Jensen, and this is the color 1S. I got this yarn, I think a bit more 2 years ago, because I've made a cardigan using this yarn and I had a lot of leftovers. And I remember I was so happy that I got this yarn on sale at a store that was not carrying Isaiah anymore. And I think I got it with 50% off, and it was huge for me because back then, buying this yarn, it was very hard, almost impossible for me. Because I was not working, only my husband, and there was a lot at the time. So I have this leftover. Now I've started my vest. I will put a little bit of video so you can see, because I cannot show you because I just have 4 centimeters worked. Now this is a bottom up construction. You work the body up to underarm and then you split and work separately the back, the fronts. And it has an I-cord edge around armpit, around the opening of the vest and the hem. I'm not sure I will do that, but I'm not trying to decide this at this point. I will see. Now, it's very easy, the chart. It's very, very easy to follow. Initially, I thought I will make it with this rust and the brown as a contrasting color, but it looks better, the orange as contrasting color. It looks much, much better. So this is me that I've said that I'm done with brown, but I really, really want to work in my stash. And I know that if this vest turns out like I am imagining, I will get so much wear of it. I really love vest, and I should concentrate to this year to make myself more, because it's even a smaller project. You'd need less yarn, and I do find them extremely, extremely useful. Useful? Do you say? I mean, you need them in your wardrobe, I think. Yeah. And I'm using 3.5 millimeters and not 4 as the pattern says. I do enjoy this little project. Now, I think I will stop here. I have another project, but yeah, I won't talk about it today. I hope you enjoy this episode. I'm not quite sure if this episode is what I want, so I will see when editing if this will reach you or not. But I just want to thank you so much if you decided to stay until the end. And I hope you are well. I hope you have things to concentrate others than the craziness that surrounds us. And I hope we as human beings to be able to do the right choices for us, for our children, and for our future. So far, not so good. But I do want you to know that I'm thinking about you, and I am hoping, like you and many, many others, that things will go on the right path and not worse. It's already very worse. So, yeah, like everyone, I am scared. Like everyone, I'm trying to not panic. I'm really trying very hard. So I am so grateful I have knitting in my life. I'm so grateful I have reading in my life. I'm so grateful I've started to do this knitting podcast also in my language, and I connected with wonderful Romanian knitters, And now we're doing lives here on YouTube, and we talk about knitting, and we do Zoom session knitting or knitting cafes, and it feels wonderful. It feels wonderful to connect and to yeah, to find ways of not losing your mind eventually. So I'm thinking about you, and I hope you find your ways to, yeah, go through all this craziness that you wake up every day and you find out that this happened, this happened, this happened, and yeah, our brains, I think, they feel it is already too much. So we need simple and normal things in our life to help us to overcome everything that the life is throwing in our way. So I wish you good times doing whatever gives you calm and good time and quality time, and whatever helps your soul and your mind. And I hope you have wonderful projects on your needles, and I will see you next time. So thank you so much for being here. Bye bye.